For 5 days in a row, Iranian government has launched missiles and armed drones at bases of Kurdish opposition groups inside Iraq. This is the biggest invasion from Iran to a neighboring country in recent years. Who are these groups and why Tehran is targeting them while protests are still going on inside Iranian cities? Hello everyone, I'm Shafi and welcome to the new episode of Polit Affairs. Street protests are still going on inside Iranian cities, but at the same time, Iranian missiles and drones are showering groups and paramilitary mercenaries outside Kurdish cities in Iraq. What's going on? Anti-government protests have swept across Iran since the death in custody of a woman 2 weeks ago. People became frustrated and angry, especially because Mahsa Amini was not a criminal in custody, but was taken by morality police for not observing the dress code or the hijab. So many people came to streets to show their anger and dissatisfaction with the current policy and dress code. This is the right everyone has. Up to this point, even senior officials of the Islamic Republic also expressed regret and sympathy and promised to investigate the case if she was beaten or not by the police, and even promised to end the morality police. But then again, like each time Iranians have had street protests to raise their voices for their rights, terrorist, separatist, and mercenary groups sneaked in to pursue their own goals, which is exactly against the will of the Iranian people. And they have never been able to get what they want, which is to devastate Iran and make it full of blood and misery. They also don't let voices of the Iranian people to be heard when they sneak in, because those terrorists mislead protests, start to burn shops, banks, cars, and give enough excuse to the government to crack down. Otherwise, there will be chaos. Mahsa was an Iranian Kurdish girl from northwest Iran, and here it comes. The separatist terrorist Kurdish groups based in Iraq and near Iranian borders started moving their mercenaries and weapons to Iran in order to ignite a civil war and finally get what they want, what they have been waiting for: a Kurdish state inside Iran. Therefore, the government started an unprecedented invasion on their bases inside Iraq using ballistic missiles and drones. Up to yesterday, at least 72 ballistic missiles and tens of drones were fired at their bases. Tehran has been warning officials in Iraq and especially Iraqi Kurdistan in recent years. They should not provide safe haven for these anti-Iranian groups. They have ignored. So now whatever happens is the fault of the Iraqi and Kurdish governments. Here I have a question. Is it okay for the officials of the United States if a terrorist or even separatist group camps on the border with Mexico and carries out such operations inside US? United States has now blamed it on Iran. Western media outlets blame Iran for attacking these groups. US, alongside EU countries, once provided chemical weapons to Saddam Hussein, who bombed Iranian and Iraqi Kurds with these weapons. And now US is worried for human rights. I should stop here and tell you a fact. Some say the government has started a war to draw shadows on protests and domestic problems. Yep, that could be a logical justification. But in general, is there any country on earth to let separatist armed groups camping on their borders tear apart their country? Could any European country accept it? Is Turkey able to tolerate Kurdish separatist groups? Is China ready to give up Xinjiang, for example? Apparently not. Iran has lost enough soil in recent 2 centuries. Look, Islamic Republic and Iran are two different concepts. Islamic Republic is a system running Iran for now, but Iran has been there and will be there as one of the oldest civilizations and the first empire on earth. Sadly, many foreign observers and even Iranians do not pay attention to this delicate difference. Their anger against Islamic Republic has turned to a hatred against Iran. The irony in this sad story is that Western mass media, including Farsi channels based in London like Iran International and BBC Persian, knowing this gap and misunderstanding, are shaping new mentality against Iran in the heads of the Iranians and foreign observers. Lately, I have noticed even some European medias like Euronews and German Deutsche Welle are portraying protests inside Iran as an ethnic issue and showing some unknown Kurdish flags everywhere on their news. Could they be any more hideous and evil? An Iranian woman innocent woman has died for a cause. There is national outrage and efforts not to let such tragedies happen again. Which, by the way, these kind of tragedies and police faults happens everywhere, especially in the United States, as you know. And here some terrorists are trying to abuse situation, kill people, and bring more misery to the Iranian people. Iranians have a fresh memory of what these Kurdish separatist groups did to them. Let's have a brief look. Mainly 3 separatist groups have been targeted: Komala Communist Party of Kurdistan, Freedom Party of Kurdistan, Democratic Party of Kurdistan. All of them have committed various crimes and villainies against Iran. They have numerously attacked border guards and killed civilians alongside army troops of Iran. The Komala Communist Party was Saddam Hussein's friend and collaborator in his 8 years of war to occupy Iran. And Democratic Party has always been trying to occupy Iranian Kurdistan region. But listen carefully, there is a delicate fact here. Kurds are one of the Iranian ethnic groups. This is not my theory, but is history, genetics, and what they have also approved themselves. Kurds in Iraq and Syria as predominantly Arab countries, and Kurds in Turkey as a Turkish state could feel themselves strangers. But in Iran, Iran is their historic land. Iran is for Kurds as much as for Persians, Azeris, and other Iranian ethnic groups. So get your facts straight and then ask for separation. In recent days, Iran has been using missiles and drones to attack bases of these groups. But what weapons are being used? FAT ballistic missile system, or the BM-120, with a range of 120 kilometers, has been used. This is relatively a new Iranian ballistic missile and has been launched, I think, for the first time. But in the drone compartment, we see a familiar name, Shahed 136, which was used by Yemeni Houthis before and also used in the operation to destroy Saudi Aramco oil fields in 2019, recently used by Russia in an effort to dominate Ukraine, about which I talked in the previous video and you could watch it here, has been the drone used in this operation. Shahed 136, as seen in these videos, hits their bases with extreme accuracy, and again, like in Ukraine, these groups are not able to shoot them down. Again, I should mention that the Shahed 136 is a relatively small and cheap Iranian drone in comparison with other more powerful kamikaze drones like Karar and Arash. Let's return to the protests in Iran. Iranians, and in particular the younger generation, are not happy. They are experiencing very hard days. Problems from everywhere are being accumulated for years and years. The government has not been able to solve them, and even maybe has not paid attention at all. And the people are tired, disappointed, and angry. This last tragedy ignited the whole society. People and the government feel they are in a dead end, with no exit. But in my opinion, the exit door is simple and available. The government should listen to the young generation, should give them what they want, and provide conditions so that they do not think about immigration. The horrible economic situation cannot go on anymore. In this foggy situation, opportunists search for their own bloody money. Mahsa Amini is one of them, a former Iranian journalist who now tries to show herself as a women's rights activist, for which I could really respect her. But in reality, she is moving on a huge American project to destabilize Iran and to destroy this country. She cries and talks about freedom as such protests start. She claims to be the leader of these movements, a leader which, based on voices from other Iranian activists and journalists from outside this country, receives tens of thousands of dollars for each video she puts on Instagram. Actually, I think Islamic Republic is very lucky to have such full oppositions. In the end, I think if the government does not change its path, these kinds of violent street protests would happen more often and even get more violent each time. The government should change old-fashioned methods and end discriminations, all kinds of discriminations. Thanks for watching. I'll be glad to hear your opinion. Don't forget to check out other videos on my channel.